Hi everyone, this is Steve Black with Let's Talk Referrals podcast. Welcome back. Let's talk about rapport. Let's talk about building rapport. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about building rapport, but you may not have a clear understanding of what it is and why it's important. Or I've just insulted you and you know exactly what I'm talking about, which begs the question, why don't we get better at it? But we're going to start assuming you don't know much about it. And then we're going to spend the rest of the time kind of going over a few ways to establish rapport, how to create friendships, how to create good working relationships with other small business owners, your customers, your clients, people you know, to help you get more referrals. Well, let's start with the definition. Here's what Merriam-Webster says about rapport. A friendly, harmonious relationship, especially a relationship characterized by agreement, mutual understanding, or empathy that makes communication possible or easy. Basically, what that means is rapport gives you that connection, a feeling that you know the other person, you start to trust them, you start to build those relationships, and you're ready to move forward wherever that relationship will take you. Now, I'm absolutely sure all of you have experienced this in the past without realizing it or actually paying it a lot of attention. Maybe there was somebody at a networking event that you just clicked with. Maybe there's somebody you work with that two of you kind of hit it off right away and you've got maybe a hobby or an interest in common. Maybe you can think back to when you had a boss or a teacher or somebody in the past who was easy to talk to and get along with from the start. And all of those are great examples of building rapport with another person from the start. And that's kind of like instant rapport that happens because of a connection you make. And once you've established that rapport, it becomes easier to build a mutually beneficial relationship. That's why it's so important to establish that rapport in the first place. You can't go up to somebody and say, hey, give me a referral, and I don't even know you. One, without being completely rude, somebody will just laugh at you or say, what the heck do you want, or why are you talking to me? So building rapport is important from that point of view alone. It gives you that connection that makes both of you feel like you've known each other for probably much longer than you have. And that in turn creates trust and allows you to develop the relationship further so you can actually help each other achieve things, get more things done, get referrals, grow your business. Maybe you need to establish rapport with a new coworker or your boss, right? Sometimes there's a boss changes or there's a new coworker that you're working with. You work with a company with lots of people. Or if you're a new business owner or a business owner, maybe you've got to build a rapport when you're doing a presentation or you're networking or you're connecting with people in different situations. And it's important to do so quickly so you can get things done. Sometimes it's about making friends. And making friends is networking. I mean, don't think that networking is business or networking is, what you do out when you're social. Like, networking is everything you do. Networking is the act of connecting with other people and building relationships for mutual beneficial results. And that doesn't matter whether it's business, getting more referrals, or it's literally getting along with the family or the new in-laws or however you want to phrase that. Networking is connecting, and it's just as relevant with business as it is in your personal life and social situations. The idea is that when you're talking to somebody, building rapport means you find something in common with that other person. You find something, a connection that you've got with the other person that you meet that allows you to develop a relationship much more quickly. You've noticed it, I'm sure. When you talk to somebody, you've both got the same hobby, you both attend the similar events, you've never talked before, but you feel like you've got something to talk about because you have those connections. And you'll become friends, right? In turn, it doesn't matter whether you work out together, you shop together, you're in business or same industry together, right? You learn from each other, you enjoy your hobbies, your connections, whatever it is that you have in common. It's easy to see from these few examples I've given that in your everyday life, you should be able to build rapport with others. And the ability to do it quickly with other people is going to be a really handy skill to have, especially as you want to grow your business. We're social creatures. We're social beings. And we have to figure a way out to work and live together, and establishing rapport helps us do that. Now, there are going to be people you just don't get along with. And sometimes it's a personality trait, sometimes it's an attitude, sometimes it's something we say or do that doesn't build that rapport. And we also live in a very fast and complicated world. Speed matters. Being online, being able to connect immediately through social media, or just a text or a phone call with smartphones. Yes, I'm of the age where I used to go to work without a phone. It was like the one connected to the wall or on the desk at home or in the office. There wasn't a mobile phone. So nowadays things move much more quickly than we used to. But you think about establishing that rapport, building that rapport, getting connected quickly gives you an advantage over everybody else. It opens doors for you. It helps you make the connections that you need to make to further whatever you're doing. Let's stick to small business and growing your business and getting more referrals to start. If you're able to connect quickly with the movers and shakers at an event and get to build relationships with them more quickly, they are more likely to introduce you to their friends, introduce you or connect you with other people. Even say to you, hey, I've got somebody that might be a good fit for your products or services. So being able to make that connection quickly is a great skill to have. And it's not something natural. We need to learn how to do this. If it was natural, you'd have half the population that would never make any friends, or it would take years and decades. What we've got to do is figure out what we need to say, do, look like, act like, to establish a rapport quickly. And we know why it's important, right? We know that we want to connect because it will further whatever we want to achieve. Small business, we want to grow our business, we need to connect with the right people. Let's talk about how we can establish a rapport a little bit more quickly. More importantly, let's talk about how to do it quickly so you can start cultivating the relationship straight away and not have to build time building the relationships. Not that we shouldn't continue building relationships. I'm talking about starting building relationships. You don't want to spend a lot of time trying to convince somebody you're a nice and trustworthy person. We want to find a shortcut to that. Now, there's not a shortcut to honesty. You can't lie your way through this. But having a connection and something in common does make it happen quickly. It's not just about saving time. Because if you can't make that crucial connection in the first few minutes, if you can't find that rapport and a reason to continue a conversation, you could risk losing the interest of the person that you're trying to connect with. So we've got to make sure that doesn't happen. We've got to make sure that when we're building rapport, we're connecting people, we're able to do it quickly, one, with being honest. In fact, let's go through a few different ways we can think about doing this. The first one, to me, is about being open. Start with an open mind, an open attitude. It will go a long way towards helping you establish rapport more quickly. It will influence your body language, your mind. It will influence how people perceive you. It will influence your attitude. Make sure it's open, inviting. If not, you can adjust it before you go into the conversation. Remember, your goal is to establish rapport, is get connected. It's not to make an enemy. So we don't walk in with arms crossed and a miserable frown on our face. We've got to listen and observe. Spend some time listening and observing the other person before approaching them. I'm not talking about forever. For those introverts out there, don't take 3 hours to decide to go and talk to somebody. Just look and watch for a few minutes before you go in. And what you learn while watching and listening to them will help you come up with ways to start conversations. It will help you find common ground. It seems like a waste of time. You just stand and watch somebody. It's like you're staring at them and they're wondering what you're staring at. Don't make it obvious, right? You want the power of knowledge, right? The investigative work that you do beforehand to see how somebody is and what they talk about will give you inroads into connecting with them. So you use what you've learned through the observations and what you already know about the other person to find something that connects you two of you. And it doesn't matter how large or small it is. Do you collect the same things? Do you have the same attitude towards fitness? Do you enjoy the same sports team? You can find some common ground or something you both enjoy to make that fast connection. And your voice and your body language will help with that. Make sure your body signals that you're open to meeting the other person and trustworthy. It means keeping eye contact, having an open posture. Like I mentioned earlier, don't hunch over or cross your arms. Give the other person a sense of connection that you're open and ready to talk. And try to match your tone of voice and your speech pattern to theirs. No, you don't need to imitate them. But if they talk really slowly, you want to listen slowly and respond slowly. If they're a fast talker and energetic, when they do take a breath, join in. Okay, that was a bit cruel, but you know what I mean, right? We've got to follow their patterns. Smile. It's amazing how much a smile develops an instant connection. Because the first thing people want to do to you is smile back. Unless, of course, you've got a crazy grin on your face. We're talking about a smile, a genuine smile. Be kind. Put on your best smile and simply be a pleasure or pleasant to be around. We're attracted to friendly people, and if you do your best to be one, meeting new people and establishing rapport will go that much smoother. Make it a genuine smile. We can all put on a fake smile, but that's not necessarily the best thing to do, because generally people can tell from your eyes whether you're smiling, whether it's genuine or not. Find something to like about the other person and the situation you're in and focus on that, and your connection, the thing you have in common, will be the thing that you can smile about. Your smile becomes genuine, and that's attractive, right? Because we want to have the right connection. And then what we've got to do is keep that rapport going so that we can move it into a longer lasting relationship. So let's assume you've established rapport with the other person and two of you clicked, right? You're off to a great start. You're getting connected, you're talking, but at the end of the day, establishing rapport simply gets you a foot in the door. What you do from here to take advantage of that is up to you. The reason you started talking to this person was because you wanted to build a connection with them, because there is some value to both of you from having that connection. It's got to be a two-way thing, right? We've talked about this in networking referrals. It's got to be a two-way thing. So now that you've got your foot in the door, your goal should be to keep that connection between the two of you strong and turn it into a longer lasting relationship that will serve you both well for years to come. I've got a couple of ideas, because it's about communication, right? You've got to stay in touch. The biggest thing with relationships is staying in touch. They have to be nurtured, and the very least that means the two of you need to have to interact on occasion. Phone calls. Send a card, send a text message, stop by the house, share a link to an interesting article on social media. In other words, use your database, your CRM, whatever it is that you're using to put in the time and effort to keep in contact with the person that you want to keep continuing to build this relationship with. The stronger and quicker that you want to make this relationship, the more you've got to invest in building the relationship. The second thing you need to do, other than keeping in touch, is keeping in touch about them. Not about you, not about your next project, your next product, your next service, your next thing you're doing. It needs to be about them. At a core, we're interested in what's in it for us, and what's in it to get us closer to our own goals is one of our biggest motivators. And if you know the other person's goals and what they want to achieve, you can use this to your advantage and keep strengthening your relationship with others by focusing on what's in it for them. Yes, you'll accomplish your own goals, right? That's besides the point. I mean, in BNI we call it givers gain. If you help other people, they will want to help you in return. Pay it forward. But what you talk about and what you share with them and what you give to them should be about them and how it will help them. Everybody loves to hear their first name. Say mine. Can you remember it? I think I heard somebody. Cool. But keep using their first name when you talk to them. And I don't mean repeat it over and over again. And listen to how they introduce themselves for their first name, because you've got Matt versus Matthew, Steve versus Stephen, Dave versus David. You've got all these things to think about. And if you really have trouble remembering names, you need to write this down and say it a few times to keep practicing it to make sure that you remember the name. There's a lot of power in somebody's first name, and they love hearing it. It's also another great way to establish that rapport, but it works wonders continually down the road. So you've got to make sure you remember those names. You've got to make sure, because it helps make them feel important to you and that you truly, really do care about them. And you want to make it a relationship. You're not just in it for yourself. I've already mentioned about being kind, smiling, being friendly. But that attitude also needs to be ongoing through the relationship. If you're in a bad mood, don't call somebody up. Or make yourself be in a good mood before you make the call. You've got to be in that good mood, or at least appearing to be in a good mood, when you're when you're engaging with the other person that you're building a relationship with. You look for ways for praise people. Let's say thank you if they've done something for you. Make sure you follow up, especially when they do something for you, which they will over time. Don't expect it straight away. You're kind of like investing in this relationship first, get something on the back end. But whenever you do get that something, you've got to make sure that you very, very enthusiastically thank them. Send them a card to say thank you. Send them an email to say thank you. If you've made a new business contact that could have a huge impact on your bottom line, you must not be shy about sending over a gift or a card or something that shows you care and are very interested in that mutually beneficial relationship. If you've made a new friend or shares a hobby, it's probably less important. You don't have to send them a gift or anything like that, but leaving them a handwritten note to let them know how much you appreciate them or you enjoy the time you spend together goes a long way. I'm going to finish by just saying that everybody should be treated with honesty and respect. I may seem old-fashioned when I say that, but it's always worked. If you trust somebody, it's because of their honesty and respect. You don't trust people that don't tell you the truth. You don't trust people that don't respect you. You don't like people that don't respect you or don't trust you. It works. It's always worked. People don't have to say that trust is one of their values or one of their virtues, but they do it by their actions and what they do. And these virtues instill trust in those around us, and trust is the best basis for a long-lasting relationship in any area of your life, but especially in business. Building relationships can start quickly, but it takes a long time. Building rapport means getting to know somebody, getting to know what they like, what they do, how they do it, getting to know their hobbies, getting to know personal things about them so that you can help them with whatever they need in business or in their personal life, knowing that over time that will pay it back to you in a big way. Build rapport, start connecting with people, get to know them, build relationships. It will serve you well in all areas of your life, and especially in business. There's competition out there. You need to be the one that people think of. This is Steve Black with Let's Talk Referrals. Thanks for listening to this podcast, the Let's Talk Referrals podcast. You can find me at letstalkreferrals.com. You can find me also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Let's Talk Referrals. Again, this is Steve Black with Let's Talk Referrals. Thanks for listening.